They call Sweden the land of the midnight sun, where temperatures drop as low as -20. This is where the World Rally Championship moves to next. The conditions in the Scandinavian forests mean the cars need studded tyres to cope with layers of snow and ice lying on top of gravel. It may be the coldest rally of them all, but the competition is as hot as ever.
Hello there and welcome back to WRC1. Today we'll continue on Let's Play and this is episode 2. Today we are competing in the Swedish Rally, hoping to keep our form up from the Monte Carlo trip, which proved to be rather successful. I don't think we're going to have too many issues here because I quite like the Swedish Rally because I like driving in snow. So yeah. Let's go ahead and get into it. Of course, we have got a lead in the championship with 10 points, and also Subaru has got their lead in the Manufacturers' Championship. Both of those shouldn't be too hard to keep as the game progresses. Subaru, we've got a few good drivers. I mean, we've got Burns, so we should be pretty darn good in terms of keeping our manufacturer standings up. But of course, you know, there's other manufacturers in here. Peugeot be the one I'm probably most worried about. Mitsubishi maybe as well. They could do a decent damage on our lead, or maybe even Skoda, considering they seem to be doing quite well at the moment, although I don't think that's really destined to last, considering it's Skoda, but who knows. Maybe Hyundai will score a point at one point as well. That car, I think that car actually specialises more on these sort of gravel stages and stuff like that. Because you do find that it's mostly the French cars that are actually really good for tarmac stages, the Citroens and the Peugeots especially because they're small and agile, but on the gravel stages it's usually the bigger cars that can do a little bit better because they are more stable. So one thing you'll note, which is kind of a nice little interesting touch, is the fact that in the snow rallies, the cars get different wheels, and I think they get different wheels for each of the different types of terrain. Of course, snow, gravel and tarmac rallies, each of them have different wheels and stuff, which is a pretty cool, pretty neat little feature there. As well as on the Kenyan rally, the car will actually gain a snorkel and a bumper guard. We are not driving very well in this. I need to slow down. Maybe use that other pedal that's in the car, although apparently we're still up. Yeah, as you can see, the snow rally is pretty good. Although the Finns seem to be doing pretty well, and of course Sainz is still there. I can imagine the Sainz is probably going to be our championship rival for the start of this game, although other drivers will probably move up and challenge him later on. Radstomp. Okay, interesting. Maybe he's also Finnish. The Finnish rally drivers will be coming out in force for this one. Not so much the Japanese drivers. I forgot we had the other Subaru driver as well, who I forgot the name of, and I probably didn't pronounce it right in the first episode anyway. Alright, we're still competing with Sainz apparently, although we were down on every single split and still won that. That was an atrocious stage and we still won it. So you pretty much guess how the Swedish rally goes from that. I will say this auto-saving stuff is a little bit bollocks because it's only auto-saves the leaderboard position. In terms of if you want to save your progress in the rally, you actually have to click save game. That's something that's a little bit interesting that I needed to point out. Sainz, Gronholm, Mackinnon. Okay, he's driving a Citroen Radstorm. Interesting. And then Didier. Oh, I'll go with Didier. I'll say his first name because I can't say his last name. Even though I know in rally it's fashionable to say the last names. But, yeah, no. I've actually got out the corner of my eye the championship standings for this year. And apparently Didier finished 7th, which is interesting. He actually beat Panizzi. Another great driver, Panizzi. If you ever want a bit of a laugh on YouTube, there's an old WRC, I think it's WRC Craziest Moments, and you'll quickly grow to love Panizzi and Gronholm. They didn't particularly get along very well. And Gronholm you'll love. I think it's top co-driver moments on the YouTube channel. I'll probably end up bringing that video up later on because that's just probably my favourite thing I've seen all year. I haven't seen many good things this year, so make that what you will, but even still. Yeah, alright, we're in a bit of a nighttime stage here.
2, 1, go.
Nighttime stages would be something that would be in WRC 2 and would suck complete ass. And thankfully they didn't really return for any future games. Well, again, WRC 2, when we get to it, you'll sort of find out is my least favourite in the series. Because, yeah, that game and me are not particularly good friends, let's put it that way. Whereas me in this game, I mean, I like this game a lot. Especially as when you think about it, as sort of the first little attempt, this game is pretty darn good, actually. And if I'm being perfectly honest, the handling in this game is much superior to the Colin McRae games, at least in my opinion. You know, I know most people think I'm wrong. Most people think I'm wrong when I say Grid has the worst handling of any game I've ever played. But wow, we are 9 seconds up on signs. Yeah, we are probably winning this rally. I'm just gonna. Yeah, slight spoiler alert. Unfortunately, I don't think I saw another Subaru up there doing well, so maybe the Subarus, the other Subarus on track are not doing particularly as well as we are. But, yeah, they lost our gains and so forth. 10 seconds up on signs now. 18 seconds up on Granholm, and 15 up on Mackinnon. Mackinnon's probably the most similar to us in the sense that he's a competitive driver with a car that's a lot like ours. Sainz's Focus and the 206 are sort of smaller, more twitchy. I can't quite remember. I know in Colin McRae the Focus is the OP. Excuse me. The Focus is the OP car. In this game, I'm not too sure. Each car does handle differently. One nice feature about this game that I forgot to mention, you'll sort of see it as we have to play through the game a second time in a different car. The hood speedometer actually changes depending on the car that you're in, which is a pretty cool little touch. And it's actually seems to be real to the real life cars because the Impreza WRC has a very similar sort of gauge cluster as the one replicated in game, which is actually a pretty cool little feature. I might turn this auto-saving thing off after a while, because it does seem to take a little while. I don't know if it's because the memory card I've got in the other slot is a pretty big one. Anyways, what have we got? Sainz, Mackinnon, Gronholm, Radstorm, and Didier. Once again, pretty much no change there. We got 13 seconds up on Sainz, 24 up on Mackinnon. Alrighty. Is this stage literally just called Is? I think that might be an interesting name for a stage. I don't think the Swedish are particularly known for their naming conventions, though. Oh well. Sorry, my eye's been caught by the fact there's a guy called, I know it's Jesus, but it looks like someone called Jesus is in the manufacture. What did Jesus drive? I want to play as Jesus. Oh, he retired from all of the rallies. Okay, he drove the Citroen. Interesting. Hopefully the clicking wasn't too much, but it's not like it's distracting you from much. Distracting you from the load screens, which take a while. I might end up cutting these out if I can't think of anything to ramble about while the loading screens are going on. I'll cut them, but I've been pretty good at rambling through this entire thing so far. Hopefully you're enjoying it.
3, 2, 1.
Hopefully you're not like that guy in. There was a Forza Top Gear Laps a while ago where a guy was like, "Have you tried breathing?" I'm like, "No, I'm here to give out as much." Admittedly, this game's a little bit different, but Top Gear Laps, I've got like a minute and a half at most usually to say what I think about the car, the way it drives, and give my opinion on it. I haven't really got a chance to, piss about with breathing. You need to breathe. You can breathe when you're dead, right? I wish I extended the gear ratios for this. I will say, usually I don't mess with the default setup though, because when you make a change and you think the change is for the better, it turns out it ends up like fucking you half the time, which is not particularly great. So, yeah, bear that in mind if you're going to make any sort of changes. Usually it's best to just leave it on default. Okay, we're not quite as far up on signs as we were previously, but we're still doing alright. I will say the car models in this game are pretty interesting the more you look at them, because they look slightly out of proportion. I mean, every car, in case you're wondering, sort of the too flat an arse thing carries over to every car. The Subaru is actually one of the better ones wearing it. Quite a lot of them end up looking very, very awkward. But yeah, if it wasn't for sort of the more boxy looking old cars, because there's actually a decent amount of detail on it, like they've got the little boot pins on the Subaru and stuff like that, so yeah. Also, I guess I'll show this off, there are actually different views. There's actually an interior view in this game. It is pretty much undrivable, because I find almost every single interior view that isn't in a modern racing game pretty awful, because the steering's really twitchy on PS2 games and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that's there and it's pretty impressive. Oh wow, this is a longer Swedish stage. Not that many long stages in this game really. They sort of, the long stages, WRC 4 has a lot of longer stages, but it seems to be a theme with rally games. I know that's one thing rally purists don't like about these games, is the fact that there's not all that much in the way of ooh, we've damaged something finally. We've yeah, as you can see, not much happens really. I'm not even sure what we've damaged. I guess that means like suspension, right? See, when I look at that, I just think it means like diff or something like that, but I don't think it does. Either way, I can't say it's particularly affecting the way the car drives, or indeed affecting our pace, particularly considering we're now 9 seconds up on signs. So maybe it's reducing a bit of speed slightly. But the handling doesn't seem to be particularly affected. This car seems to drive as well as it would usually. I think if you get engine or steering damage, that does actually impact the car a fair bit. I haven't actually had gearbox damage in this game. Gearbox damage on the later games basically made occasionally the gears wouldn't change when you wanted them to, but usually the solution to that was just double tap the gear change button and it would do it, so. With us playing as automatic transmission in this game, I don't know if that's really gonna make a difference in it. If I figured I'd test to see if you could accelerate with the thumbstick in this game, you cannot. I assume you probably can in the late games though, because that was the thing in a lot of PS2 era races. Apparently we lost a ridiculous amount of time in that bit there. Maybe it's, excuse me, maybe it's because I tried to figure out if the analog sticks worked for that or not. Also, another thing you'll notice, because this game is sort of... Okay, never mind, that was a really big send. I need to be slightly less cocky, apparently. Worst bit is, we're still probably going to win this stage, even though that was a big mistake. Shouldn't have gone full send on that corner, apparently. Well, Subaru looks very, very sad now. But, bless it. Come on, Trojan Horse. We'll reach the end of this and then you can have an ice cream. You'll be absolutely fine by the time the next stage happens. Also, dirt accumulates in this game as well, which is something worth pointing out, because the rear box likes to point it out as well. So. Also, one thing I should have mentioned before is, even though the co-drivers are named in this game, it doesn't change any... Oh no, we were beaten by signs. Even still, despite the ridiculous corner we took, we're still, yeah, Sweden and everybody. Anyways, yeah, as much as they name the co-drivers, it doesn't actually change who your co-driver is in-game. You still get the same sort of muffled radio voice guy, and that's the same for every single WRC game going forward. I don't think they even bother naming the test drivers in the late ones. Oh, there he is. So I guess I'll mention that final thing. So Sainz, Solberg, Mäkinen, Granholm, Radstorm, Ford driver. Yeah, in case you're curious, that's McRae. Because they can't name him in this game because he had his own game series, and I don't know if it was a case of they couldn't license his name because it was owned by the Colin McRae thing, or if Sony just didn't want any, which would be weird considering a lot of those games were sold on their platform, but maybe they didn't want any marketing idea for McRae. So anyways, McRae is covered up in this game by being Ford driver, and in the later games they would cover him up by just simply forgetting he existed and putting him under a different name. They used... oh, what's his name? Just trying to adjust this microphone slightly without making too much noise, hopefully. I forgot his name. Why? How have I forgot his name? Oh, Francis Duvall, who was a Belgian Ford driver who drove in Super 1600, I think. At the time, WRC 2 came out, which would have been based on the 2002 series, but thankfully, by the time... basically, by the time WRC 3, I think it was, came out, he was a full-time Ford driver. And then McRae would not be in 04, so they managed to finally stop having to find a way around his name. I think in WRC 3 as well, they just forgot he existed because they just had 2 Citroen drivers instead of 3. I think. I'm not sure though. Maybe I'll have to recheck that game at some point. But I mean, I guess we'll find out because actually I'm not going to say that. Let's just say I have all of the cars in for like these games meticulously planned out. What I should also say, actually, while we're on the subject, is I don't know when this will be going up. However, one thing that is most likely going to happen is not only am I going to be playing through this game on this channel, I'm also going to be playing through this game on my second channel, which is going to be non-commentary. So you won't hear my voice. If that's something that you prefer the sound of, then you can go ahead and watch those. But I'm going to play through this game as well on my second account. And yeah, you'll see a different car and stuff like that in those videos. So I am wholesale stealing that idea from Rhino GT4, but I kind of like it, so that is also happening. So if you don't like my voice, or you don't like the Subaru, or you just want to watch both, you can do so. I don't think they'll be going up at the same time, and I don't really know when they'll be going up, but yeah, no, that's something I'm planning on doing as well. So if you like the sound of that, then that's something that will happen as well. Yeah, I don't know when this is going up. I'm sort of in two minds as to whether to pre-record all of this and get it ready, pre-record this entire season, or just release this whenever, I guess. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Either way, one thing I should stress is this isn't replacing Forza Motorsport 4. Forza Motorsport 4 is currently on hold because I'm not quite sure what to do with that yet, but yeah. I'm sorry I'm not being very communicative on that, but yeah, that game, I don't know yet. We have actually got some episodes recorded of it, but I don't know if or when they're going to be released, so. But don't worry, you'll find out soon enough, I guess. Maybe never, who knows. Either way, what I do know is we won that stage very convincingly because it's the Swedish rally and it's really easy, apparently. Excuse me. Again, I've got some indigestion or something going on here. That's probably my favourite YouTube comment I've ever had, is actually a guy who's like, yo, can you stop burping in my ear every day? Hyundai! Sorry. Sainz, Mäkinen, Gronholm, Ericsson and Radstock. You go, Hyundai. You attempt to earn a point. Okay, we have got one more stage. Magman. Alright. Also, Richard Burns is apparently on his way up, even though he hasn't actually shown up in the leaderboard yet, so I guess Ford Driver just had a really bad day in that last stage. I could have scrolled down, but, you know, where's the fun in that, you know? I like to be a little bit surprised as to who's going to get the points at the end of all this. I'm amazed Hyundai got a point. I hope Hyundai does really well in this, and, you know, they can finally gain that 1 point that they've desperately been trying to get. Bless Hyundai. Bless them. They tried. The worst bit is, like, if I remember rightly, they put a ridiculous amount of money into that accent. to try and make that thing stick, and it just didn't. Thinking this game was in its second. Ooh, we have got night stage, and we got fog lights.
3,
Okay,
2,
scratch
1,
everything that I said
go.
about this game not having night stages. Apparently it does. I'd forgotten about that.
long, left,
I
2,
will say,
right,
actually, while we're on the subject of that, I have played through every single one of these WRC games from start to finish, apart from this one. Essentially, in case you're wondering how I know that the autosave does not autosave your championship progress and instead just autosaves your ghosts, yeah, I know that because I was going to play through this game fully, got to the Kenya rally, turned it off to go to work, and then came back to find out that, yeah, no, the autosaving's a load of bollocks in this game, so that was not such a fun experience. So, I have a vague memory of how this game works, but after Kenya, I am completely clueless, so we'll be playing through this for the first time, both together, so that should be interesting. But the rest of the games I've... Actually no, save for Rally Evolved, I haven't actually fully played through that yet. I pretty much get the gist of Rally Evolved though, so I'm not going to. I'll go into Rally Evolved semi-blind, just for the fun of it. I know Rhino hates that game, so after playing it, I actually really liked a lot of the stuff Rally Evolved did, and I don't even particularly dislike the handling in that game. Although, the one thing I really hate in that game is the motion blur. Thankfully, these games do not have such an issue. Yeah, I'm not quite sure about this night stage. It's not really impeding my visibility all that much, just so much as just making the snow really red and angry looking. Either way, it's typical Sweden performance here. So, save for that one stage we lost, but again, we only lost that stage because I'm stupid. But then again, that's probably how we'll end up losing a fair few rallies, is probably by me being slightly stupid, because I do have the tendency to be so. In case you're wondering, yes, my approach to rallying is the Colin McRae method, which is just sort of go flat out everywhere. I will eventually stop it. I'll have to eventually, actually, because not as many rallies as this particularly, what's the word I'm looking for, as forgiving as the Swedish rally, but you know, I think Monte Carlo I drove it relatively sensibly. Sweden I'm apparently driving like a madman, but I'm sort of just it's all a ploy to prove the fact that the Swedish rally is just really fucking easy in this game. Clearly. Yes, that's what I'm completely going for, I've just decided. Finish line in sight soon. There it is. And across the line. Sign's doing particularly well again. Yeah, and I think for the early game, Sign's going to be... I think Sign's will end up dropping off after a while though, because if I remember rightly, it's usually the way this game goes. Alright, some more auto-saving. I do wonder if there's a way to... Maybe there isn't a way to turn it off. It wouldn't surprise me if there isn't, actually, come to think of it. Anyways... hey, Hyundai's back up here again. They won't get a point now. So, final rally results are us with 10 points, Solberg, Sainz, Mäkinen, Gronholm, Radstorm, and Richard Burns getting a point for Subaru. There we go, the International Swedish Rally winners. Beautiful. And here are the championship standings. So we are standing tall with a 10-point lead over Sainz, Mäkinen, Delcor, Gronholm, and Schwartz, who's still in it. Bless Schwartz. Hyundai gets a point, but more, I mean, we're dominating. So we are 24 points with Subaru, 10 points for Ford, Mitsubishi are actually tying Ford and Mitsubishi. Then Peugeot, Skoda, and Hyundai. Bless Hyundai. Alright. So that is it for this episode of WRC 1. Do hope you've enjoyed. Next time we'll be taking a look at whatever the next rally is, so join us for that. Until then, farewell.